Oh, there is, oh, okay, that's the
Ordinance, thank you.
Oh, great.
zoning thing,
Pardon?
the zoning,
No, the tree ordinance.
oh, the tree
Tree
ordinance, okay.
And trying to, I think, trying to integrate it with the new Zoom.
Mm,
And they've made some comments. They're making comments.
yes.
So live stream has started. Just let me know when you want to start recording.
Okay, well, we can come to order. Um, Okay, so we can come to order. There's no guests here. Well, Barbara will be here, so. Kevin's wife Barbara is hanging out, she said cares to. And any modifications to the agenda? I think everything I wanted to talk about is going to be under announcements, so. Okay. Okay, so I don't have to take attendance, do I? Review and approval of the 2023 monthly meeting minutes. I sent some changes. There was one incomplete sentence.
Do you know who that is?
2AB.
280.
Kevin indicated that this is local as local.
Oh, well, let's just.
I think you should leave it.
Yeah, yeah, sure, local as can be.
This is as local as it gets.
Think locally, act locally.
Yeah, we'll just-
Think locally, act locally.
I don't even know what you would have been trying to
A
say.
local law
Oh, okay, yeah.
is a local
Oh.
law. I think, yeah, because it is, I mean, that's gonna kick. Have it fold.
And then the organization.
Yeah,
I just changed the organization.
and did I get Dr. Ralston mixed up with Dr. Horton?
No, I didn't.
Oh, okay. I've been back and forth with the two of them, so, yeah, okay.
All right, so is there any other edits or can we approve them as corrected?
Need a motion.
Yeah,
Make a motion to approve them as corrected.
okay. Can I have a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor? All right, thank you. Okay, so Helen, I think, had a meeting with the fire chief, but she's not here, so we can't talk about wood smoke, or I don't have anything to say.
She meeting with fire chief or police?
Police, Tinty, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Sorry.
I was supposed to go with her and somehow didn't happen. Can't remember exactly. I was down there, but I never could find them.
Oh, okay. Well, it's unfortunate because you could report, but she did have the meeting.
As far as, yes.
She did
they
have, okay, I'll just note that.
Yes.
All right, nothing on septic code and then non-toxic landscape maintenance plan. Has anything moved on that?
In theory, they would have voted on it, last week. I don't know if they did or not. I wasn't at the meeting, but I can check. See if they, if it was on the agenda.
Was.
It
It was, okay. I don't know. I don't know the results of the meeting.
Does anyone else? Have it? Okay, you guys are checking?
I can check. Yeah. It was up for a second read.
So second read and then they can vote.
I'd like to go to the room. Back to the Euros. February. Posted yet.
Okay. Well, I'll make a note to follow.
It was on the agenda for sure. but- See if it had laws. Another thing for local law of 2020. No, but then nothing.
Okay.
Posted.
Okay,
The mayor's public hearing is the 23rd. For the local law.
Okay, so we're waiting on it must have gone through, so we're
Yes.
waiting on the mayor's public hearing now. Okay.
so the 23rd is next week,
Thursday.
next Thursday. Okay. Does anyone want to go to that? I can't go. Is there a comment? Oops, sorry. Is there a time to comment?
Yes, at the public hearing, so that would be.
No, I mean, written comment.
No.
There's no written comment?
No, just a public hearing, which is at 5.
Okay.
I have a work event, I can't go.
Okay. So there's no way to just communicate? I guess we can communicate for the public hearing. If no one can go.
What do you want to communicate?
I don't know, that we're in favor of it? Is it on Zoom? Okay,
I think so.
okay. All right, well. Okay, so do you think we have to do anything?
I don't think you need to do anything. There's usually not a lot of people, if I need to comment at the public hearings.
Right,
There
There
it
is a
says
Zoom
it's
link.
a hybrid, yeah.
Yeah, there's a Zoom link.
so I don't plan to be available, period, so. Okay. So then does he sign it? Is that what? Okay.
If after the public hearing. Oh, written can be sent to the city clerk. Or dropped off at City Hall to the clerk's office or left in the drop box located on the side door entrance. Written comment will be received until 1 p.m. Thursday, February 23rd.
Oh, the same day, okay.
And as a reference, it is local law number 2 of 2023.
Right, do you think we should put any written comment in?
I mean, the CAC is written into the entire thing. It was explicit in the development of it that the CAC was behind it.
Yeah.
But if you think that formally doing that is important, Okay.
Not really, I mean, it's not what I want to spend my time doing. So. Okay, so thank you for checking into that. And again, the part about the sidewalk didn't get changed, so, or didn't get included, so this is just about Kingston property, city of Kingston property.
Yes.
Okay, open space planning, community preservation plan. Who wants to report on that?
I will just say that the plan is complete. I have a final plan, it is now in my inbox and all of the deliverables. So I will be posting that plan on the website. If you all want, I can print you up copies for next time. If you want a printed copy. And from here on out, now the process is to pass the 3 local laws. I have a meeting with Corporation Council on Thursday to discuss seeker and the adoption of the plan and the timeline for that. And then there will be likely a gap with community-driven outreach and work done by the Kingston Land Trust to understand the temperature of the community. And then the local laws, should it come back positive, the results of surveying and other things, then we will put forth the other 2 local laws, which would be establishing a community preservation fund and the advisory group in one law, and establishing the real estate transfer tax in a second law in a few months, which would need to be all completed and adopted by local law by August 4th. If it were to go to referendum for this year. So the land trust will be driving most of the work for the fund, campaigning and other outreach to the community, but the city will be moving forward the local laws.
Okay. Wow,
So it has to be
so fast.
signed by August 4th or just approved by the council at the August meeting?
All 3 laws need to be fully adopted, which means 2 readings and public hearings, and complete and signed by the mayor to be ready in a package to go to the Board of Elections by August 4th.
Okay, okay.
And
When you say it that way, that's a lot of
the 3 laws.
deadlines.
The 3 laws are,
Yeah, let me,
the one is adopting the plan.
second one?
Second is establishing community preservation fund and advisory group.
Third?
Third is establishing the real estate transfer tax. And the amount of the tax would be determined by doing polling of the community to understand what they would be willing to adopt via referendum. The amount of the tax varies across different
Yes.
communities.
And the land trust will be carrying that.
Yes.
Wow, it seemed to go really fast. And okay, so we'll hope that happens, okay. Kingston forward citywide rezoning, okay, so the deadline for comments on that is Friday, no, Saturday.
Saturday at 1.
At 1 p.m., yep, Saturday at 1 p.m. And I did go to the meeting last night, so I will say something about that. I identified myself as chair, but I said that the CAC had submitted comments, mostly on the environmental issues, and that they could be read on Engage Kingston, and then I wanted to highlight the definition of open space, usable open space, and the definition, and also just talk about some of the things that are going on in the waterfront area. And I would say that, one of the reasons I went was because I wanted to say something more than about, because everyone else pretty much spoke about short-term rental and how, and affordable housing and so on. So did anyone watch it? Okay, yeah. So I thought it was pretty amazing in terms of like the expertise that was speaking and kind of the variety of people. Two people that didn't live in Kingston spoke. One was a young man who works in Kingston and just couldn't find a place. There was a lot of kind of that, and they couldn't find a place, but there's also someone who lives on Albany Avenue that is a consultant at Airbnb. So I thought that was pretty amazing. So I would say that the majority of people wanted to have, would prefer that short-term rentals be owner occupied and not the 1% of housing stock. And they, 1% could be Airbnbs. They said there's 78 apartments listed or rentals listed. So if you have, get 100. Anyway, just saying that there's more Airbnbs and places to rent. And then the same thing with affordable housing. There was just such a need. But some people didn't feel like having, what do you call it? Accessory dwelling units was conducive to their neighborhood. And some people were upset about the parking, lack of parking required. So, anything else, Kevin? Did you say?
Yeah, there were also some comments pushing back on the form-based code.
Yeah,
Yeah,
The whole form-based code as a whole.
yeah.
or portions of it.
Yeah.
In terms of wanting to retain single-family homeowner districts, like the triple R, double R, whatever. Some form of an R district.
And someone said that right now, 78% of the housing is single family, and it's shown that way in this, which is a reason to have a change. And yeah, and I think Tanya Garn spoke, and she kind of explained that, originally zoning actually was to kind of keep slaughterhouses from being next to a church or something, but then it kind of segued into, segregating different areas of town. So this was to change that. Anyway. Yeah. And so, but no one spoke really about anything except for the Complete Streets rep, and a couple of people spoke more about like walkability and trees and things like that. But it was really pretty much dominated. So I don't know what that means for the common council adopting it. So.
I was told by Tanya and Anthony Tampon Jr. that Andrea is holding, they're going to be holding, the Common Council is going to be holding workshops. Andrea informed them of that.
But you
Don't have the dates.
they didn't announce that at all at the meeting.
No, this is something that happened in the caucus, I was told.
What caucus?
Well, I guess it was last week that they were already planning
Yeah.
on having the hearing in the caucus. Yeah, but the email came from Tanya this morning.
No, yeah, because Andrea was there for a while.
Yeah.
In
I
the
think,
shop.
Michelle Hirsch had some zoning event.
Yes, I heard that too. I think Saturday she had something.
Someone said, I overheard people saying that something on Saturday got canceled
Oh,
because people went and didn't find out it had been canceled. So I don't know, but I don't know if it was Michelle. So, okay. So they're gonna want workshops to kind of what, get more information?
Uh,
So, well, that's insider information. Okay, but, so the bottom line is, should we be commenting for the 18th at 1 o'clock? Is there anything that anyone has seen that jumped up, that the CAC has kind of, you know, our mission?
And Nita, you had a comment for me to submit to the landmarks. Maybe that should be submitted.
Okay, that was the follow-up with the.
Yeah, yes. When I talked to Sue Cahill, it sounded like we're reviewing that over at landmarks, but the scope is strictly limited to what the landmarks commission is looking at.
Okay,
They're just looking at the existing code, and then the other codes that might go by the wayside if the you know, with the new code. I mean, the Heritage Commission might drop out maybe, and then the section 264, which covers the historic standards, the stockade that predates, I think, the section in the zoning. They're not totally consistent, and they're going to have to drop that out. So they're working on that.
Okay.
So you're suggesting that
Yeah, but your comment would be out of
that we
scope.
could just say something like, we feel like this got dropped or didn't.
Yeah,
get it.
yeah, one line. Elisa Tinty, city clerk.
Yeah, I mean, if you wrote it, I could send it in.
okay.
Yeah.
I think it's written. I'm not sure.
Oh,
I think I wrote something up for
Yeah,
Ken.
yeah, I think
Okay,
So I can send that on the.
so I'm assuming that by 1 o'clock, it's by email or dropping in the box by 1 o'clock. Okay, well, I'm glad we discussed that. I didn't see anything else that really jumped out at me, you know, reviewing it. No one else did. You guys have any concerns about in the farm-based code?
I honestly haven't looked at it since the summer, so. I felt like all the things I was like originally concerned about were addressed.
Okay. So that'll be, I'll send, if it's okay with everyone, I'll just do that. Okay, let me see, city plan review. Helen's not here for Flatbush Foxhole, pedestrian bike master plan.
Something may come out with this in March. Okay, I got a, very like a one-liner from Emily Flynn.
For the Flatbush Foxhole?
No, for the pedestrian bicycle master plan. I don't know, there was no date, so I'm gonna have to look back at the city calendar to see if they put a date in March.
I have it in here as the 13th of March at 6, if I had
Okay.
master plan public meeting.
Okay, then you know more than I do.
Sorry, what date is that?
Well, let me make sure it's on the public calendar before we start.
No,
Hold on a second.
that's March.
So do we need to comment, or is this
I don't think there's
Like
any
the-
comment on yet.
nothing coming?
Yeah, there was a draft of the plan back last May. That's a project committee commented on.
It's not on the public calendar yet, so might have just been floating the date. I would say stand by for a possible public meeting in
Yeah.
March.
Okay. Great. Okay, let me see. Okay, neuroneonicotinoid pesticides and the Birds and Bees Protection Act.
I looked up what I could find online, and in fact, the assembly has passed this back in April. But it's running around in the Senate. And they're about to have their third reading.
That's why we wrote,
Yeah.
did you?
Yeah. And the assembly passed it and referred it to environmental conservation. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
To the AEC?
No, it's a different environmental
Yeah.
committee,
Oh.
different environmental conservation committee.
So there's some movement.
Okay, and then, that's great, and then there's this thing called Third Thursdays that a bunch of CACs are having talks in Neonectic next, or tomorrow, Thursday. And Julie sent that, and I wrote it down, so so that's a, so if you're interested, it's by Zoom.
Yeah.
Neonex, The Toxic Truth is an online Zoom talk. The third Thursday series, it is, I think, Marbletown, Olive, and another one or two other towns that have decided to kind of have these Thursday talks. So it's at 6:30. And Julie did send it out to you, so you should be able to look at and get the Zoom thing if you want to go.
Okay.
And so, yeah, I can't go. It will explain the science behind the threats posed by neonicotinoid pesticides. Anyway, so you should be a speaker, so. It'd be good to see you talk. All right.
Well, they recorded the talk I gave last night on Africanized bee research.
They did?
Yeah, I spoke to the Ulster County beekeepers.
Oh, cool. All right.
If you want to know lots of things about killer bees.
All right, well, I just feel like this meeting is just reporting out stuff, but we do have homeworks, when we go to these meetings, so. Pace University Resilient Assessment. So Steve Noble commenced the meeting and has formed has asked people to be on a technical assistance. So let me just go back. Pace University Land Use Center received a grant to work with 5 communities. Kingston is one of them. And they talked about that at the Lula training, which several of you took. And the idea that we would spend the next year kind of going through this program and looking at resilient assessments and identifying proprietary strategies for waterfront revitalization and coastal resilience, so that there would be some components of a new local waterfront revitalization. There would be resiliency components, and it would kind of get us to a step where we could then apply for funding to do a new waterfront revitalization plan. I hope I did a good enough job of summarizing that. And Anita and Kevin and I and Ted are all on it. Wow. Okay.
I would remove myself from it if possible.
It's totally possible.
I have too much on my plate.
Okay, you're, to yourself.
Suzanne told me the other day that it's likely that the LWRT is going to go to planning. Not here. I don't know where those discussions are held, but they have a formula for doing the coastal consistency review. But they have it down to it, Sue and Kyle, I can just slap it out and send it out to the board people. I can show you how to do it if you want. I can just send it.
Yeah, but this is a new program. This would be new
This is a whole.
in the next
thing,
year.
but
So,
one of some of the discussion also is where's the LWRP going to go, right?
no, not in this part. I mean, it could be, but this is really very preliminary.
If the Heritage Commission disappears, which should happen shortly, it has to go somewhere. And 2 choices were here and planning.
Do you mean for approval?
For coastal consistency reviews.
Oh,
Remember we had a conversation about Are we willing to, is CSC willing to take on this role of coastal consistency review?
For developments.
Developments that are in the,
Any of the,
yeah, covered in the coastal area. Well, I don't know who makes that decision, so,
first on here, of it.
yeah. And that could change with the new LWRP.
Oh, yeah,
Which might happen.
yeah, I don't think this is a, there's legislation pending on this.
But Suzanne Cahill is also on this advisory committee.
Yeah,
Okay.
If any of the three of you are not interested in being on the PAC, you could just let me know.
Mhm.
If you think that 3 CAC members is redundant, it doesn't. I can
I think, yeah. Right. I think it's fine. And it looked like, I want to say that it looked like the meeting was tending towards a Thursday, the first March, the first Thursday in March. In the evening. That's where when did you answer the doodle?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so that's, anything more on that?
I did review the whole RISE assessment. And I know that Kevin has also.
yeah.
Definitely a lot that needs to be updated with the form-based code, because it was based on our previous code. But there's just a couple other things as well, and I have a meeting with the folks from Lula, next week in advance of our meeting. Just to go over like what's gonna happen at the meeting, what is the next step, so. We're waiting for quite a few people that were requested to participate to actually get back to the doodle, so. You can follow the tracking of the doodle if you look at it, but Ted, you wanna, I'll look there later. Totally.
I think you could actually answer it on the doodle.
Here's a what?
I'm not interested.
Really?
I'm not available. I felt like that. I
Oh.
don't know why. It seemed like a very sophisticated doodle. So.
But they said stuff
Okay, burying overhead utility cables, that again is Helen. Okay, so communications, are there any communications? No, announcements. Okay. Oh, wait, we missed open issue discussion in new business. Is there any new business? I was interested in talking about an access plan that Sina Kutsin has been working on, but I couldn't follow up on it. And the plan itself was done in 2020, but there's comments due by the end of this month. And I just ran out of time to talk about it. But it seemed like it might not have included Ulster County for some reason. So anyway, that could have been new business. Okay. Any announcements?
Either under open or announcements, we had it last time under announcements, communications, events, was the New York, New Jersey hats.
Mm-hmm.
I think we covered that on an email this morning. I don't know if we're gonna do great that, except that the question is do we want to make comments?
I don't think so. I think don't feel like we're gonna be affected, so it's,
Well, you know, the way they're doing it is, yeah, we're not affected because they're not doing anything here.
right,
Except that leaves us with the same storm surge situation that we had like on December 23rd, compounded by the fact that they're not doing anything here. So do we want to ask them for additional modeling? Which they had, I believe they had told somebody down in New Windsor that they were going to do that. And on one of the meetings, Bryce Weismuller, who's the Army Corps lead person on this, indicated the reason why the modeling is showing no effect here is because of the width and the depth of the river varying in different places. And the modeling that they're doing, Jen Benson had asked a question on sediment, and they referred Jen to an appendix full of modeling that kind of had my head spinning when I was going through it, a lot of charts. Felt I needed Dr. Walston and Phil Horton or somebody with me.
I don't understand what you want them to model, what you're thinking.
What we're thinking is induced flooding. They're saying there's no induced flooding, and we want to have them verify that again, that there's no induced flooding.
But they're, because of the surge barriers that they are gonna put up?
Yeah, right, that pushes, that's gonna block water from, it's gonna push the surge back into the river. And if there's already a surge happening, is that gonna come, how far up north is that gonna go? I think that's the question. That's been the question that I've been asking, Jen was asking, this other person from, somebody from Croton was asking this yesterday and another thing, it's been asked repeatedly.
But didn't you just say there's no induced flooding?
They're saying that, but then they follow it up with, we need to do more modeling. So it's like, we're just taking a broad look here at tier one, and it doesn't look like there's induced flooding. That stops short of a, representation that there was no induced flooding. I can understand why they're saying that, because a couple of the barriers are not on the Hudson River, they're on the East River, Queens and Brooklyn. Like Gowanus and Newtown Creek, and then Flushing Bay over in Queens. And the question is, if there was a surge, would that water go out to Long Island Sound? And if there was another surge coming in, what happens then? Well, let somebody from Long Island ask that question, and they didn't have an answer for that either. So there's a lot of questions kicking around.
All right, well, I'm just gonna read you what the research coordinator told me, because I guess I don't remember if the work that was done with Philippos Orton looked at any other surge barriers, like, or did they just did the large one, the main one that would have really cut off the Hudson? And so I felt like said, she did say that that Orton found that you need to analyze the impact of barrier closures, frequency and duration.
Yeah.
To plan how the operation of the barriers will be regulated once they're installed, because and that's always been a question, like, okay, if it's once in a blue moon, as opposed to 5 times a year, that makes a big difference in everything, and closure of ships moving back and forth and things like that. But other than that, the actual research reserve sites, which are in Piermont, that concern is whether or not they would be flooded and sediment more flooded and everything. So I think I I guess you haven't made it clear to me that that was what your concern was, because when I looked at it, it just seemed to me like they weren't closing off the Hudson,
Right.
and there's been a lot of modeling, so I'm not sure that. So are you asking, so you think that they haven't modeled it, or they said they weren't, or that we can't interpret it?
I couldn't quite make a determination from the appendix that they.
Well, I think that if Riverkeeper or something wants to do this, that they should do it.
Oh, Riverkeeper.
Because it's way over.
They're just opposed to storm surge barriers, period. Tracy Brown's holding something on February 22nd, which is going to speak. It's on the Riverkeeper website, so what you have is Dr. Malcolm Bowman from SUNY Stony Brook. He's 110% move ahead with storm barriers. Then you have Dr. Ralston and Phil Orton, who've done other modeling and have some concerns with sediment, salinity, habitat. But they can prove that they work. And they're stating that the land-based approach, the natural land-based approach, will not do it on its own.
I know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's obvious, that's.
Yeah, well, they reiterate it, because that keeps coming up, and if you look and see what's on Riverkeeper's website, they keep pushing the natural thing will do it, and clearly, all these experts are in disagreement as to what to do. And the question is what are we doing besides flooding on the East Strand?
Well, you know what? That's gonna happen,
Yeah,
and putting a storm barrier is not the solution for the Upper Hudson. I really don't think so.
no, it
So-
no, it wasn't suggesting a storm
So-
barrier, remind me.
I didn't say that, I said, well,
No,
I guess if you want to pursue this, I think you can go ahead. I'm not, I didn't think it was a concern. So what you're saying is that if you close off some of these, the water bodies that are going into the harbor, that could push some water and it might go upstream. And that seems like they could model that very easily, someone.
yeah,
could
that's,
model
that's,
that very
that's,
easily.
that's what I was
and
going
that
to
you
ask them
can- yeah,
to model it
and-
or.
But that's,
Yeah,
I'm not sure that's, well, even a question. Frankly, these things cost so much money that I just
it
don't.
may never happen,
And,
none of it.
but, I think they've all learned from different areas in the world that we really do have to think about that. You can't just close it off and not worry about where the fish are gonna go and where the sediment is going. And that's important, but, I think we're gonna have to deal with storm surge, and it's not just East Strand, it's the entire Hudson estuary. So that's why we'd like to see what other, anyway, I think it's fine if you wanna look into it. Okay,
But the only thing I would do is just ask them from, well, I first have to review this modeling, that the thing that they told Jen Benson. And I have the appendix, I just didn't go through it, it's great depth. And seven, I think it is.
maybe you should, yeah, okay, that sounds
And
good.
then if it looks like they've done it, but they were saying like two different things. Every time they get asked the question, they're like, well, you're not affected, but we still need to do more modeling. So I was going to suggest they do more modeling. And just let it go with that and see where that comes back and any recommendations they might have for us going forward. The thing is, being the Army Corps, their recommendations will be a hard solution.
Well, yeah.
That's,
Okay, so you can keep letting us know about things like this thing on the 22nd.
Yeah.
Riverkeeper. because we're not all following.
Yeah, this thing's 566 pages as appendix, and, you know, that's kind of what it looks like.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's,
that's the salinity section.
yeah, well, maybe, maybe someone can interpret it. Okay, great. In terms of other announcements, the April 19th, the Hudson River Environmental Society, of which I am a member, is having a full-day conference on the landscape effects of renewable energy, mostly solar and wind, including like the effect on farmland and things like that. And that is at a full-day conference at Millbrook at Carey Institute. And that has not been announced. I mean, it's just like, there's no registration for everybody yet. And then
Date?
the 19th of April.
Oh, April 19th.
Yeah. There is a biodiversity training, something on biodiversity conservation on Thursdays.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And at 1:30, I believe. 1 to 2:30. Yeah. And let me see what else. And I did have some announcements from the Water Quality Coordinating Committee, so should I put that to the EMC part, or, because I attend kind of as a old member of the Environment Management Council, I can just report on it now. Does anyone care?
Is it about the Ashokan overflows?
Yes and no. So the Water Quality Coordinating Committee is founded in 2017, and it follows some New York state laws. So the point is that Ulster County hasn't had one for very long. Some other communities, I think, have had them in a long time. And they meet every other month, and 1 month they just have kind of like the core people. And then the next time they meet with more of an educational thing and invite people. So the meeting was Monday, and they actually didn't talk about the Ashokan until I asked about it. But so first of all, the Ashokan release, the deadline now is March, either the last week of April or first week of March. The EMC was supposed to put something in, and they didn't meet in January, and it just seems kind of like it's been dragging on. But the county executive and the legislation have all looked at that. And then apparently the big issue, well, one very big concern was whether or not Ulster County would be able to have this role where they would have to call for the release if it was over a certain deadline, and it seems like that's really trending to that will not be happening. Did you hear anything like that?
Well, I was gonna give an update to during the EMC because they didn't meet, but an article came out, the Daily Freeman last week about it,
Okay.
saying that they're still accepting comments, but that I think the county's gonna ask the TDC to not do that, but I don't know.
Yeah, so that was the biggest thing. So I feel like, and I was getting some announcements from Steve Noble about when the meeting, when the Ashokan, and I don't want to say what it's called, the group that kind of meets on the Ashokan stakeholder group. but I haven't gotten that well. So it seems like that part is going well, and I guess, or that, might be resolved without, probably because of people's comments already and so on. And then also, Amanda Lavelle, who was in the planning department, she's now been appointed to the deputy county executive. So now we don't know where some of her responsibilities are going to fall. So, and she was really following that. So now I'm sure it's through the planning. So then the other thing that I found was interesting is that Ulster County and Dutchess County they are joining the Hudson 7. So the Hudson 7 are these 7 municipalities that take water from the Hudson, drinking water from the Hudson. And so Ulster and Dutchess have both been invited in on that. So that will be the Hudson 9, I guess. And so that's good. And
What are the last 2 towns?
Ulster County and Dutchess County.
The 2 counties themselves, okay.
Yeah. So, and they're planning on doing a engineering feasibility plan and then seek funding for green infrastructure, meaning like capturing stormwater using green infrastructure at county facilities. So the only reason I'm bringing that up is that there are county facilities in Kingston. The Department of the Environment and the parking lot at the county office building already has green infrastructure. So I'm not sure about any other, but there's other county facilities like probation and the whole county garage, maintenance area and so on. So that's something to look at. And then there is a Lower Esopus stream management plan happening, and they're getting the stakeholder engagement plan together. And then they'll be moving ahead, and the contractor with that is Interfluid. So that also is something that we should be interested in. And they're also thinking about having a stormwater coalition, which would be like all the towns that have to report on their stormwater. MS4s would maybe be in a coalition to help each other out, and there's other models, and so that might happen next year. I think that is all I have in terms of meetings and what happened at the water quality. And I'm actually not on the EMC, so they have to find someone else. And the people that are on the water quality coordinating committee are like Tim Rose, who's in the Department of Health, Dr. Smith, the head of the Department of Health, Soil and Water Conservation, Department of the Environment, Planning. I think that's pretty much the key people. And sometimes the Ashoka and Stream people meet. And, but anyway, so a lot of what they talk about is related to Kingston specifically. And again, I was the EMC rep. And, and then the other thing, 2 more things. One, Robert Ferry, who I believe is retired EPA, but I'm not sure, he's going to give a talk on how to do stormwater plans so you don't get audited. So that might, I don't know, are people that do stormwater plans. And the Water Quality Coordinating Committee has been really interested in learning about Kingston's sewage long-term control plans. So that will happen sometime this spring or something, and maybe that will be a public meeting. So as I said, every other meeting is public. So that was a big report out. And any other announcements?
Just the Carey one, well, what's the topic on Carey?
Landscape, I forget the exact topic, but it's the landscape. It's about renewable energy and the effect on the landscape, like on wetlands. So I just looked at it, but I don't think the title is even on the website.
No, I looked at, that's what I asked.
So, I could give it to you. I can send it. Let me send it to you because I have it in another conversation. Okay. All right. And, oh, so then the other report outs, I lost my agenda. So let me see, committee report outs. Who's on the list first?
Complete Streets.
Helen.
I was at Complete Streets. Helen was also present. There was a discussion about the bike, follow-up about the bike legislation, and folks expressed some concerns about safety, which were taken, and will be considered for revising the legislation. And then there was the bulk of the discussion was actually about the sidewalk improvement district. That basically it was an overview of the work background to date, because most of the Complete Streets Advisory Council is new since the sidewalk improvement district proposal was first developed several years ago. So at this point, there's no public documentation or anything for anyone to review related to the sidewalk improvement district, but the committee itself is basically doing research as to what other communities do.
So what's the bike safety law?
It's a bike share system, so my office has actually proposed and has gone before Complete Streets, Live Well, and Climate Smart with a proposal to institute a bike share system. And that would either be a manual bike system, an e-bike system, or an e-scooter system. And it goes through basically the regulation of the operators, so that an operator like Lime or a local company wouldn't just come in and just drop their bikes here, but that it would be regulated. So it's gone through the Common Council, laws and rules at least once. They haven't adopted it, but they haven't passed it, but they haven't declined it either. And it's gone through Corporation Council multiple times and now through multiple committees.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
So you mostly have been talking to Live Well, Complete Streets, and
Classroom.
Yeah.
Yes.
so has anyone done any market research on that?
A lot of it. A lot of research, and there's also ARPA funding that's dedicated this year to establishing it, should the legislation be adopted.
Cool. Planning board, that's
Planning board,
Meadows.
yeah, that's back for a performance bond.
Jeez.
Sounds like, well, my question on that is, does Peg O'Leary have the funding in place? I don't know. That's always what the problem has been.
Right, it's been my question from the beginning.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can she afford the flood insurance?
Yeah, I mean, us having a discussion with the planning board hasn't gone anywhere, over the last 15 years or close to it, or 14 years. So. But, yeah, I think it's a discussion more.
So just to repeat from, it did get the go-ahead, and now they have to, and the planning board is asking for a performance bond?
Yeah. performance bond amount, establish an amount to construct a 60-unit senior housing structure.
So what, how much is the performance bond?
Doesn't say.
What is a performance bond?
They have to put up funding, that is with any large development, they have to put funding up for a completion, for any sort of adverse impacts, it just, take a look at the Irish Cultural Center, something like that, something that just totally runs along.
And then, so in other words, if they lost money and it was just sitting there with
Yeah,
the insulation showing or something, that there had to be
right.
some money to.
And, yeah, they, I know they did with Hutton Brickyard too, because recently Hutton Brickyard applied for a release of at least some of the funds, if not all of it. So they'll put this money, like,
In escrow.
sort of like an escrow. It's actually a bond, it's actually a bond.
I see.
So that if the unfortunate does come to pass, we look to the bonding company. You don't have to,
You can leave that open. Thanks.
we look to the bonding company and not to peg a delivery. In case our pockets are empty. The other thing on is a further discussion on a massing concept for 6585 East Strand. So they've been having discussions there, but there's not a plan to be approved. I think that they're getting feedback. This is not unusual with the planning board.
What do you mean, like massing meeting?
Might have a new site plan. That's what it's sounding like.
Okay, so that site is right across from, it's on the lawn, right across the Maritime Museum in front of the brick condos. And they would be filling that in. Yeah, and they did have drawings and so on, and we commented on it, and they agreed to raise the buildings foot. But they are kind of pushed as far back on the land as they could go to kind of avoid the floodplain. Is that right? Does that sound correct? Yeah, so we've been watching that for a while. We haven't, but you're saying they might do a different.
It's
Complete
different
different
owner, so it could be.
Oh,
a
different
plan.
owner.
Yeah, those
Okay.
people are gone, the ones
Oh, okay.
that, 28, Joe Hurwitz, I don't know that he's representing them. Wow.
No, he was the architect.
Yeah,
Yeah. Right.
but he and Dennis Larios were representing
Yeah.
the developer.
I don't even think he's practicing.
Joe?
But, okay. So, so that's what the discussion was at the planning board though. So we just need to keep watching.
Yeah. I usually tune into the video and see the pertinent things. There are other things on the planning board every month, but those are things that come out that would be in our realm and interest. The other thing that's there, which I haven't been following all that closely, is I think Dan Simone is involved in this project, the one at 104 Smith. And it has a name to it. They don't have it in here.
Is that the new deli?
No, it's a mixed use development with 110 units.
The Barrel Factory?
Yeah, the Barrel Factory, sorry.
But that has a Smith address, even though it's not on Smith? I thought you said it was on Tenbrook. I thought you said it was on the kind of end of,
It's on Cornell and Smith.
That's,
Cornell and Smith is a post office.
Well,
And the restaurant.
right, so
I thought it was towards.
it's one block in from that.
Yeah. It's not Fowler and Keith.
It's not Fowler.
Yeah. Right. So, but it has it has a Smith address, that's why.
Oh, because it might be affiliated with the Fowler Key building,
I see.
or a parcel that comes out onto that, I don't know.
Is that the cigar factory?
The barrel factory.
Oh, that was the last name.
Barrel.
Barrels, like barrels of beer, barrels of wine,
Okay,
barrels of herring. So herring, yeah, so I mean, I guess any of that is mostly for us, the stormwater and trees and stuff like that.
That's the, it's called the post office. And also. Go corner.
All right, so we'll keep watching that.
There's a lot of documents on it, but I don't know.
Has there been any, conversations or anything about the Golden Hill?
No, I haven't seen that on here.
Or even, maybe not even in the planning department or other ones?
I think that's done as far as the Kingston planning board goes.
Yeah. They haven't started construction or anything, but they demolished.
Right.
Yeah. Good. Okay. What's the next thing?
Public safety, you,
Oh, yes, so I didn't get any notice and it just is not on my calendar. So I did not attend. It was, the EMC was canceled because of weather. And anyway, so who do I contact? The chair for reminding them?
yes,
The chair, okay. And Ted, were you getting anything?
no,
Because they canceled it at Christmas. And I'm not gonna be around again, but they, anyway, okay,
I think the first time I reached out, I got, like, someone sent me a Zoom link or something, but then I just showed up.
after that,
Yeah,
yeah, so I just need to put it on my calendar and make sure, and if they're, and I can attend by Zoom.
yeah. As far as I know, as of a few months ago, you could.
the next one is on the 22nd at 6:30.
Mhm. Okay, but I can't go, can anyone else go, because I'm gonna be in Mountain Time, which is 4:30. I'm not sure I can make it 4:30. Okay, so sorry about that, and I will. Okay. Next,
I'm smart, it's canceled, because of snow.
just a joke.
What snow? I was canceled because of weather.
Yeah, right. It's so sad. Yeah, this, and then EMC was also. So, the tree commission,
Yeah.
Commission?
Yeah, I just snuck out of their meeting.
yeah, and they just walked by.
Yeah. They've been dealing with some trees that were taken down without permission. And the lady is willing to plant some more trees. It's one of those, who cropped the tree? Is it Central Hudson? And some of the neighbors have run into some anyways. They've had 2 automobile accidents that have hit some of the trees. So they made a recommendation to her to plant something a little further in from the street. She doesn't want to put something out on the street. So she's not. So that's taken care of. We had an impassioned speaker, very concerned about the number of mature trees that have disappeared, that she had been told, oh, no, they're gonna stay on, where did they just replace the bluestone? Franklin, yeah. And trees that she was told were gonna stay are gone. And she was concerned that contractors were doing things on their own, and so they're gonna pursue that to a certain extent. And they're in the process of revising the ordinance, is that the correct term?
Yeah.
For trees and trying to coordinate some of it with the new zoning. And they're still making internal changes on some of it. There's some significant changes that has to do primarily with defining certain things. I mean, creating the tree commission and ornamental trees and what's a street tree. And, some of their terminology to clarify. And so that's, I left right about then, so I didn't hear what was happening. But they are working on it with some intensity.
And does that include a list of trees of specific species? Because I think, do you recall? It's okay.
They've had a list
Yeah.
of small, medium, and large that relates to the survey that was done.
Right.
And no more sugar maples. There's a couple others that they don't want to use because we have too many of them. And they're making recommendations for some other things. And they were making some recommendations to this lady who's going to replant for something that was a medium tree. And they're defining, and they're trying to come up with some graphics that they can lift from somewhere that gives a better projection of what medium, small, and large trees involve.
I thought Central Hudson even had those things like right tree, right place or something, or it seems
Could
like,
be.
or it seems like George Procus could come up with something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're trying to make the ordinance more people compatible,
Yeah.
more intelligible. They're scheduling an Arbor Day event down at the Rondout Community Center, getting the kids that go there after school involved. And they're talking about some species, some variety of white oak being planted. Because they have a good bit of space to put something a little more sizable. They've reviewed the new zoning and they're pretty happy with the things that they considered within their purview. So, and that's about when I left.
Okay, thank you. That was very informative. Julie, the last time in terms of the form-based code, all the departments were reviewing that. Did that go into what we've been looking at? I thought the minutes said that all the departments were looking, reviewing the phone-based code.
Yeah, there were certain things that were around the beach department and Bartek reached out directly about those things.
And that went into the review copy. Okay,
The
great.
planning department is looking at it the same way, as an involved agency, the same way the landmarks is.
Mhm.
And if I recall their comment, seemed to be having one of the discussions about the market.
Yeah. Okay. All right,
Before you adjourn, is there going to be quorum on the 14th of March?
in terms of that, we really do need to work on getting some more numbers. And I'm not really sure where to go for that. Either DEC, I've reached out to DEC people that I know that live here, that might know other people. There could be bar faculty or students living here. Paul's students. But anyway, does everyone want to check their calendars for March 14th? 6:00,
Sure.
are you going to be available, or you're still moving?
No, I should be, I have to be moved.
Okay,
And mostly unpacked by then.
all right. And where yourself out?
And we're giving multiple tours
Oh, yeah,
at many times.
I haven't seen it. It was there Christmas of 2020.
And we've had two offers from people who want to buy one.
You might have new neighbors. Okay, does anyone ever have any other questions about, Brianna or anyone about what we've talked about? Do you have any questions about? Okay, yeah, and, okay, so I think, I really feel like this is just a report out, but people are doing things on the other meetings and so on, so, for our other communities, so,
Oh my gosh.
all right. Before 7:30. Does someone want to have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
All right. Okay. All in favor? Okay. I've been here since.
Oh, okay. Yeah.